So I was approached and spoke with some of the staff members from Homeward Alliance. Their request from me was to come and talk to them about what I thought of the proposed facility, improvements that could be made to make it a safer, more community-friendly environment for both the guests, the staff, as well as the community around the facility. One of the things that I brought up to them when I spoke to them was that I am a proponent of it being in one single location. I think having multiple locations to provide the homeless with their services becomes very difficult, clearly for one main reason. It's hard to get around. People tend to take the path of least resistance. So if you make it so that they can go to one location and find their food, find their shelter, find their transportation assistance, find their ability to be able to connect with housing authorities or mental health and substance abuse counselors and resources to get them a job, they're more likely to use that facility. And right now we have so many different locations that they have to travel to that it makes it cumbersome, especially for somebody that is suffering from addiction or mental health illness or has a disability. And a lot of our population is elderly, and it's hard for them to get around. And the problem is a lot of people think if you build these facilities that it's going to increase people coming here to use them. The truth of the matter is the only reason why we're seeing an uptick in the amount of homeless is because the uptick in homelessness is happening everywhere. So we're not increasing because we're providing more facilities and more services. We're increasing because there is an increasing population that is becoming homeless. So whether you're creating those facilities or not, you're still going to have those issues of that growth. And one of the reasons why it's more visible is when you ban camping, which I think was the right choice. I don't think it was a bad choice. But when you ban camping, instead of them being hidden in locations that you're not seeing them every day, now they're on the surface. They're on the streets. They're trying to go to the shelters, which are in public areas. So you're going to see them. It's not that there's more of them. They're just visible now. People think that everybody that's homeless is this, guy that's walking around and half his pants tore off, eating out of a trash can. And yes, there is a population of that. But I don't think they realize how many people go down there. And I walk through that shelter and I see a mother sleeping in one tent, a father sleeping in another one, and the kids are in another location because it's 18 and over only. So they can't even be in the same locations. And a year ago, they were a business owner and had a house over by Mariana Butte. And then the dad loses his job and the mom gets in a car accident or develops cancer and they can't afford their bills. So now all of a sudden, one thing after the other leads to all of a sudden they're staying in an RV and then they're staying in their car and they're staying with a couple of friends. And eventually they have nowhere to go. I did not realize how many elderly people, and when I say elderly, I'm talking like in their 70s and older. You see a large population of males that they were a widower or were having some kind of family help take care of them. Something happened, their health slid, something else happened. All of a sudden, they found themselves without anybody to help support them. A lot of them start to suffer from dementia, Alzheimer's. And once that starts to go, they tend to become aggressive. And so it's hard for sometimes people to have them in their homes. And I think people sometimes have just kind of washed their hands of it and said, I can't deal with them, and they leave them on their own. So to see that population surprised me. On the other side of the coin too, watching how many women were probably mothers and homemakers, they come from that population that primarily women stayed at home while the husband was out working. So when their husbands died, and they no longer had somebody there helping them, and their children have moved on, and society just has a 75-year-old lady who might be suffering from dementia as well. Oh, we'll just put her in a home. Well, when their money runs out, where do they go? And I guess I'd never thought of that until I walked in there and saw 4 70-year-old women laying side by side, talking to each other, sharing pictures of their grandkids to each other or their great-grandkids, and realized this is where they go. The amount of people I've seen in the shelter that I did not know were homeless until I got there astounded me. I do not go a single day that I do not walk into at least one business where somebody that uses the services down there is not working there. And that's another thing that I think people misunderstand is they feel that a lot of these homeless people are just sitting there all day long, soaking up space and resources. And I don't think they realize that a lot of these people are working in our community every day, 40 hours a week. And then when they get done with their job, they go sleep on we call them body bags because it's just this weird looking mat thing. And for the record, when people say, well, homeless shouldn't be treated like inmates, well, I'm going to tell you, we use the exact same mattresses that I have for lifers in Florence are the same mattresses that most of these homeless people are sleeping on the floor inside of LRC. Nobody wants a prison in their backyard. Nobody wants a homeless shelter in their backyard. Nobody wants any of those things. Nobody wants a low-income housing development built right next to their house, but they have to be somewhere. And if we're not going to be part of the solution, we are just as much a part of the problem as that facility being there. So the community people that aren't willing to work with the shelter and work with security and work with the police are actually being part of the problem. If we don't all work together to help it, it's not going to work. And I know that's a big kumbaya, everybody around the fire, trying to be positive, but it's realistic. In my 30 years experience, I need to find a commonality between those people living on the street and those people living in those houses along the side of that church, and make sure that we can find a way that they can coexist so that these guys get the services they want without impeding on these people's rights to have peace and quiet and a safe place to live. And that's why they have people like Homeward Alliance and Trial Security working so that we can bridge that gap between the community and this population. Because here's the thing, the same person you're complaining about sleeping in this facility today very well might be renting the apartment or buying the house next to you tomorrow. You're not going to eliminate every issue, and I'm not going to sit here and lie to anybody and say there will never be an issue ever, because that's unrealistic. And I have to live in this community. Somebody's going to call me out on that. If they have an issue, they're going to come up and say, I told you that there was going to be a problem and you said there wasn't. And I'm going to say, no, I told you there may be issues, but that's why we're here. We're here to help you overcome those issues and hopefully prevent the issue from coming again. There are going to be growing pains. When we get over there, we're going to have to learn where are hot spots, where are people going to want to go, where is the things, what populations over there tend to be a little bit more at risk than other ones. And it will help us learn that. And if the community is willing to work with us, we can help community police the whole environment and work way more efficiently than what is currently happening. Right now, we are a disjointed group of people that mean well, but we're all in different locations with a common goal, but not able to work together to get there. And I think the one facility is probably the best answer.